this is Hope at Crafty Hope, and I am coming to you with Use It Up, Fill It Up 2 Days 22, 23, and 24. This is a challenge that Tiffany of Southern Gals Design has issued on Instagram, and it's to use up some of that miscellaneous stuff you've got laying around. So I am using as the substrate a bags of old Christmas cards. I'd used the tops to make some ornaments, and so I had all these bags sitting around, and I'm using them up. So I am taking a bunch of underpaper and some other just random papers. I have found though through this process, I really don't like the backgrounds when I use my underpaper. It's far too chaotic and busy. And anyway, I tried tearing it up and gluing it down thinking that would make it, I don't know, more cohesive somehow. And then I scraped on some gesso trying to push it back, and it still just didn't do it for me. Now, I knew that with this card, I hadn't done on any of my cards any kind of hand-drawn faces that I've been, I don't know, slowly working on doing. So I decided that's what I was going to do for this one. So I took a piece of ledger paper and a watercolor pencil and started just drawing a face. I used just a brown and got my little sketch going and drew her in, and then I started pulling out things like Neocolor 2s, and I tried wetting those, but that ledger paper was really not really conducive for watercoloring on. So because I tried to wet it and rub it and it just wasn't working, so I pulled out distress crayons too, because those you can rub a little bit more than the Neocolors. So I used those a little bit to help, blend some things a little bit more. But I knew I didn't have a whole lot of time, so I went ahead and once I got down just kind of a basic face, I went ahead and glued her down onto that crazy messy background. And I'll tell you, in the end, I ended up running out of room to even put any kind of sentiment or anything on there because it just takes too long to really make a good face. I did try to add some shading and all of that, thinking I'll have time to slap some words down or something, but I didn't. So here I'm adding just some more colors. I think that's an oil pastel that I was just, oh, actually it's a Colorix crayon, and I was just trying to add some color to that background. So that was it for this one, y'all. She's okay, but that's how it goes. Here's a better look at her. Next is card number, what card number is it? Number 23. And again, I'm just taking some ephemera. This is some for my own stash, and I'm trying to cover up some of I think I end up covering up the whole page in here, just using some of my favorite pieces of ephemera. And I really, really like how this card comes together. Um, I thought I was going to play with, some of that pink and yellow from the ephemera I used, and I kind of do, but you don't really know it's there. So I got some yellow. This is a really bright yellow. I think I've used this color a couple times. It's kind of a school bus yellow, I guess. And I put that down, and then I used a baby wipe through a stencil trying to pull up some of the color. And at first, I don't think I did really good, but if you look really closely at the card in the end, you do see that little bit of the circles that got removed. So I kind of liked that, but it's hard to see. And then I used some, what is that? It's like a tulip paint, and it's for like fabric. It's a fabric paint. And I sprayed that on there just for another touch of color, and dried it and sprayed it, and just kind of pushed it back. It ended up showing up more, I think, in the end, and I thought, no, that's not what showed up. This green alcohol ink, this is an alcohol spray that I made, and it ended up showing up really well in here, and it works. It really does work. Now I've got just a regular pencil, I think, and I'm just scribbling a little bit, and then I've got a China marker. I'm making some triangles. I was trying to get away from my dashes that I do over and over again. And I colored in a couple of those triangles, just adding a little bit of interest. I have this sticker pack that I picked up at the thrift store. It was in a bag of all kinds of scrapbook supplies, and so I picked out a couple things that are on there. A cute little deer and a saying that says, "Let us lay in the sun and count every beautiful thing we can see." And with that yellow on there, I thought that was kind of perfect for laying in the sun. And then I grabbed some, I think these are Dilution stamps, to add a little more interest in the background. I'm awful about not getting stuff in the background before I glue down my focals, but it ends up working really well. I totally, totally dig this card. All right, on this one, again, I'm dipping into my own ephemera stash and gluing things down using my Yoo-hoo glue stick. And this card, I like it okay, but I don't know, it still doesn't come together. I'm trying to find a way to use that underpaper again in this, but I decided not to use it in the background. I was going to use it somehow as an element on the page. So you'll see how it comes together here. So once I get some of that ephemera down, just random paper, gluing it down, collaging it and stacking and layering. And I really kind of like that. But I put down a little gesso on top again, trying to push it to the back. I say again because I do this all the time in my videos, and to push some of that to the background. And then I grab my bag of my hand carved stencils, and I'm using a black Stays On ink. I get these fun swirls, and they definitely stand out in the end on this card. And I use a couple distress oxides. I think fossilized amber and, oh, what's the other one? It's the orange one. I can't think of it. Um, Spice marmalade, yeah, and so, a couple other of my hand carved stamps. I make some dots with just a plain old permanent marker, just some fun little dots. And then I have this fussy cut head that I found in my stash, and I decided with my some of my underpaper to just make her a little dress. And that's how I try to use it. And it works okay, but I still think there are probably better ways to use it. So I drew her some arms and legs on there so it would make it more apparent that it's a dress. So, and then I glued that head and the dress down to the card, and I go around it some with a Stabilo all pencil in black, and then wet that with just a water brush. And I think I go ahead, I'm running out of time, so I just write a phrase with that permanent marker that just says, be colorful. And that's it, guys. If you like this, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and I thank you so much for coming by and taking a peek.